These are the most haunted woods in Essex, England. You cannot get more haunted than these woods, and anybody who has walked these woods will know what I'm talking about. You cannot go 2 feet without thinking that someone is walking behind you. You can almost feel like their breath behind you. It is ice cold, your bones get chilly, and that could be in the height of the summer. There really is no explanation or a way of explaining how you feel when you are in these woods other than suppressive, depressed, and certainly not alone. And legend has it in my town that there is a story that goes about these woods of a young guy whose spirit is renowned to haunt these woods. And it didn't start in the woods. It started back in his home. He was a young lad, life full of fun, out with his mates, just got his own place, had a lot of parties, friends over, drinking, playing cards, the usual thing. And once he sort of settled into his house, he noticed like a few weird things were happening. Like, you know, he'd go out and he'd come home and all the lights were on and the TV was blasting, and he'd be thinking, I swear I turned all these off. Anyway, this became a regular occurrence, and then it started to get into his dreams. Like, weird stuff started to happen, and he was having terrible nightmares, waking up at like 3:30 every night with this reoccurring dream of this figure, dark figure, standing in the corner of the room with these white eyes staring back at him. And as soon as he saw the figure, he would just literally wake up in a cold sweat and he'd be shitting himself. And that went on every night at 3:30, and to the point where he was too scared to sleep. He'd go in the shower and he'd feel cold hands running down his back in the shower. You know, he'd go downstairs in the morning and all the cupboards would be open in the morning. Anyway, he got to the stage where it was affecting him mentally. He declined seeing his friends. People would go around there. He was really withdrawn. He was really like paranoid. He was sort of fretting in corners, and his friends were just like, I think he's doing too many drugs or something like that. No one could understand, and he just wouldn't tell people what was happening because he felt like a nutter. But every time he was alone in his house, he would feel this presence, and he would see this dark figure in the corner with these white eyes, and he just couldn't cope with it. He couldn't cope with being in the house on his own. This was going on for months and months and months. So one night it got so bad, and he found knives that were literally pushed down into the floor of his kitchen. Things were being thrown in the middle of the night, and he just woke up and he just could not stay in the house anymore. He couldn't stay in the house anymore. So he got in his car and he just drove. And he drove to a friend's house. Well, was planning to drive to a friend's house until he went down the back roads which led to these woods, and he had a crash, and he crashed his car, and he got out, car wouldn't start, so he was trying to get phone signal, and you know, it was in the middle of nowhere. There's not much phone signal around there, so he ended up climbing into these woods, and he ended up falling into this pond. He ended up falling into the pond, and he was so cold, he couldn't catch his breath. He was trying to get up on the banks, kept slipping back down, and legend has it that this dark figure that was following in his house was also following him into the woods, and it was pitch dark, and standing in front of him as he was in the water was this dark figure lurking over him on the banks, and apparently it pushed him down into the water and he couldn't get back up. He was basically being drowned by this dark, evil spirit that had followed him from his house into these woods, and this guy was trying to get back up, couldn't. Eventually he died in this pond, and legend has it that you can see him racing through the woods, covered in boggy mud, screaming at the top of his voice. People that are out walking their dogs, like on a summer's evening, can hear the faint screams of this man's voice, screaming for help. And as soon as they get into the woods or try to investigate, there's no noise, it goes, it's empty. It's just this horrible feeling of like fear, and people just want to run out the woods as soon as they get in them. It's just not a nice place at all.